Hello everyone, welcome back to OCD Recovery. Today I'm going to do another video, another 10 quotes, but this time the quotes are going to be by Dr. Claire Weeks. Now, her book is amazing because it specifically correlates to the physical symptoms of anxiety. Not so much related completely to the physical manifestations from, say, OCD. I think it's more along the lines of GAD, but the physical manifestation has so much crossover that it's really, really, really similar. You hear? You hear Milo out there? He's already whining. Come here, boo-boo! Milo! So, these 10 quotes are really, really, really specific to what it's like to have chronic OCD whilst going through OCD recovery. Oh my God, what a brat. So, a lot of these are from the book on the reading list, Self-Help for Your Nerves. Some of them are not. She has other books as well that I didn't write down the titles from the books, but just know that Self-Help for Your Nerves is tremendous for dealing with physical symptoms of anxiety. It also correlates really well with sensory motor OCD and how to go about those things. It's more than likely, it's not more than likely, the majority of the recovery journey is just being very uncomfortable and just going about your day as best as you can while showing yourself some compassion. So I forgot to say, but please subscribe down below. Again, as I say in the beginning of every single video, there's great videos going up all the time. Videos from the moderators. I just a video with Daisy. So look at that. They just came from a walk. That's why they're all panting. And it was like 95 degrees or like 29 degrees Celsius for if you guys don't live where we do Fahrenheit. So, quote number 1. A setback is part of the recovery process. Now, we all know that OCD recovery is not linear. Any anxiety journey is not linear. A lot of people, and rightfully so and understandably so, we want the journey to just be like this. And the journey is not even like this, the journey is like this. Some days, some of your best days will be followed by your worst days, and some of your worst days will be followed by your best days. Now, not engaging with those good days in a way that most people do, and they put a lot of merit on those good days, is something I'm going to talk about in a future video in the next couple days. Because this really gets people stuck, and it's not covered at all. So people will feel really, really good, and then they'll put all this merit on feeling good, and now the OCD brain is like, oh, well, you're afraid of going backwards, and this is what you want to feel like, boom, relapse. That happens to everyone. So setbacks are part of the journey. You're all going to have setbacks. I have never met one person with chronic OCD that has not had multiple setbacks. You might be the one, but more than likely, you're going to have a setback. Number 2, accept that you may be frightening yourself for some time to come until habits die and sensitization improves. Now, in her book, and there's a 4-part series, they're about 20 to 30 minutes long each on YouTube, talking about basically self-help for your nerves in audio format and talking about sensitization of your nerves. So what she means by that is your nerves are completely sensitized. So the fears that we have that drive the OCD cycle, and a lot of the fears that drive a lot of all anxiety disorders, a lot of them related to PTSD and GAD, even though with GAD there could be a little bit more free-floating anxiety, but that's not really important to really talk about. A lot of it comes down to fear and fear being stuck forever. Isn't that so good? You have sleepies in your eyes. I gotta get them out a little bit. She doesn't like the bath. So you're probably gonna be sensitized for potentially a while, more than you want, not forever, but someone like me, like I've been dealing with chronic physical symptoms on and off for the last 8 months. The beginning of my journey didn't have a lot of physical anxiety symptoms. It was more intrusive sensations. So this is why you can never say, well, I never experienced that, because OCD loves when you say that. This is why the tools for unconditional self-life, other acceptance, the tools that Claire Weeks talks about, floating past anxiety and learning to sit with discomfort, is so important for the OCD recovery journey. So more than likely, because you can't force, desensitization of your nerves. That would be amazing if you could. So number 3, be patient. We grow into recovery. This point cannot be overlooked. And this correlates really well with you can't force acceptance. You cannot force recovery, and I promise you, we will all try to force recovery at some point in our journey. It's understandably so, especially when you start to see results from the books on the reading list, applying unconditional self-life and other acceptance, learning how to sit with discomfort. You get relief, and you might say to yourself, holy shit, I'm getting better. Let me just, boom, ramp this up 300%, and then I'm really going to get better. Doesn't work like that. It comes in perspective shifts. Some of these beliefs you've held for a really long time, it takes a little bit longer than you usually want to unwind those beliefs and change your perspectives. I see she drinks my water. You want some water? No? Okay. No. So, number 4, be prepared to let it do its worst. And then that's a 2-part. Be prepared to feel, think anything, let come what will. Floating resembles acceptance, but going forward with the sensations with little resistance. So, we always talk about OCD recovery, the importance of being able to sit with anxiety. This is super important. So you're going to have to be able to sit with your symptoms for quite some time. And it's not going to be comfortable. More than likely, it's going to be really uncomfortable. Do you have to pant the whole entire time? I know they like you seeing you on the videos, but you know what I mean? You know what's going on? So you're going to have to let it do its worst. If you develop a new theme, let yourself develop a new theme. If you develop new physical sensation, there's a lot of times where I'm waking up with different physical sensations on a daily basis. But as you can tell, like right now, looking at me, you would have no idea. But I have some free-floating anxiety right now because that's just part of where I am in the journey. But my reaction is very minimal, very minimal. I live life on my terms. I don't let anxiety rule my life, not usually. So, number 5, float through, don't fight it. And then do not be bluffed by these strong feelings. I combined 5 and 6 together because they're really applicable. So, what happens is when we find a new symptom, something that we try to pinpoint, people go to the Facebook group. I see it all the time. Does anyone else have this symptom? Does someone have this symptom? And what's really happening here is you're really looking for reassurance. You're making sure, you want to make sure that that you're not the only one. Even if you were the only one that had that symptom, even if I was the only person on earth with sensory motor OCD, I still know that I can recover. And I still know I can get past the physical anxiety with the tools laid out by Albert Ellis, Claire Weeks, and just learning how to change my perspectives on life. That's really important. But we get really scared. And I didn't have a quote on here, but this does correlate with that quote. If we knew more about this in schools and we were all educated on this earlier, we maybe wouldn't freak out so much when new things like this popped up because we'd have the tools to understand what's going on. That's really important to talk about. Okay, number 7. Rob did a really good video on hope, and Kirsty talked about hope in her video today, and that is super important for the OCD recovery journey. However long you have suffered, if you wish you can recover, you can. Now, we obviously know we can't wish ourselves in recovery, but if I was to write this, I would say, however long you have suffered, whilst putting in the correct work with time and patience, you can have the ability to recover. See how I added a little bit more rational REBT from Albert Ellis into that? Not saying that she's wrong. I'm just saying I would reword it for OCD sufferers because we can't wish away OCD as much as people may, distract yourself, think of other things. When you have OCD, that doesn't work. We all know that. So it doesn't matter how long you've suffered, and comparative suffering doesn't have any good ROI. We've all done it. I've all said, with sensory motor OCD, well, I have breathing OCD, so that's worse. So I have salivation OCD, that's worse. I have sneezing OCD, that's worse. That doesn't do anything for your recovery journey. It's also not unconditional other acceptance, it's conditional other acceptance, and it's just really not a good cycle you want to be in. So, number 8. It is important to be able to tolerate being alone. Otherwise, you will spend your entire life running away from yourself. This is probably very applicable to ROCD and maybe some forms of, probably ROCD is probably the biggest one. Hannah and Kirsty could probably do a video entirely on the benefits of being able to be alone. I enjoy being alone. I love my wife. She knows that, but I think alone time is really beneficial for both of us. Especially it's hard to be around me all day because, I'm just a little crazy sometimes. But, it is important to be able to be alone. And what happens is when you're afraid of being alone, there's a lot of things that are wrong in the OCD recovery journey that I see all the time. Don't be alone because it can relapse you. Never drink too much caffeine because you'll relapse. Make sure you get enough sleep. That's fear of fear. Anyone that tells you in the OCD recovery journey that you must do a certain thing to avoid a relapse has no idea what they're talking about. And there's a lot of them that do that. I'll say that again. If you're working with someone and you're with someone that is talking about you need to make sure you get good sleep, these black and white terms, you need to have a second opinion, because those are going to keep you stuck if you just keep thinking in that black and white term. You know, I have to be blunt on that. It's not a mean thing. It's just the reality that people don't want to hear. And I know, so Momin's a good person to talk to, because Momin's a little bit more soft-spoken than me, and people respond differently. I could be a little bit more blunt about things. It's just the way I am. I still accept people for who they are, but I could just still, I just have a little bit more bluntness. And when I say things, probably because of my cultural background, my environment, and stuff like that. But being able to tolerate being alone, if you can't tolerate being alone, the fear will be able to always get back in. So, number 9. Recovery lies in the places and experiences you fear the most. What are we at, 11 minutes? That is, I can't even tell you how important that is. So recovery lies in the places and experiences you fear the most. That is gigantic. So when you develop unconditional self-life and other acceptance from practicing, from changing your perspectives, from the reading list, through working with someone that understands OCD, whether it's a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a coach, or anyone that understands OCD, that they understand, and you will understand, that exposures are a gold standard for OCD recovery. Now, we had to talk about this for a second, because I get a lot of kickback on this. A lot of people will just say that you could just expose yourself and OCD will go away. You don't have to work on your fears at all. Are there some people that happens? Absolutely. The vast majority of OCD chronic sufferers will not fully unlatch OCD. I do not believe so. I see it. I talk to people in the community. I'm very active. Rob has been talking about this for over a decade. All the moderators talk about it. We've all had to look into our fears. What's so scary about this thing happening? And then once we get underneath those fears, that unlatches. But certain types of fears where there's really outward physical compulsions, like washing your hands, so contamination OCD, certain type of harm OCD with knives and stuff like that, or avoidance behaviors in the car, you could greatly expose yourself to that by, say, driving down a street that you're really scared of driving down, and just letting yourself feel that anxiety. So this should be planned with someone that understands OCD very well. But you will need to go to the fear. If you avoid the fear of... Rob has said this. While you have compulsions, recovery cannot happen. That is a fact. You cannot have compulsive behaviors, avoidance compulsive behaviors with OCD and recover. It's not possible. It's called obsessive compulsive disorder. If there's a compulsive behavior that's going with a fear, you're not going to be able to recover. Number 10, your approach to your illness can be changed. In the sense of the way you view your illness can be changed. So this is really, really important. That's the last one, so I'm going to lean back a little bit. So what's super important about this one is kind of twofold. It's very easy to go down the trap of, you know, that OCD is so bad and my whole entire life is going to be, you know, not what I want it to be, and the what ifs and the what ifs and the doubts and the doubts. We all have all been there. Sadie's done really good videos on self-pity. Kirsty's talked about this. Oliver's talked about this. Basically, Hannah's talked. Every moderator's talked about this that's done videos on this channel. And this is really important because changing your perspective on your illness is a huge stepping stone in unconditional life acceptance, as Momin has talked about today when we were talking about accepting that you have OCD, just accepting that you have a disorder. That's part of OCD. Accepting it might take you a little longer than you wanted to get recovered. Not 50 years, but it might take you 2-3 years. So changing your perspective on many things in life takes time. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's really, really important for driving yourself forward in the OCD recovery process. And I think that's really, really important to talk about. But it's not really covered a whole lot because there's so many people out there that are like, OCD sucks, and I understand why they say that. But more than likely, if you want to get better, you'll need to change the way you look at OCD, because the journey can be the best thing that's ever happened in your life. And I said this in a video the other day, there's no benefits of having OCD. The disorder itself has no benefits. I see videos online titled The Benefits of OCD. There is none. There is no benefits of having OCD. It's a disorder. There's benefits in the recovery journey. So, and that's that. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below. Let me take this off so I can get a little bit closer with the pups. You know, we got, look at this. No joke, she'll do this for hours. So I have the camera. Look at the sleepies in your eyes, dude. This is what happens. And I rub them on my pants. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, the hole in the backyard, ridiculous. Literally, you can almost see our water pipe. I'm here. Say hi to the video. Say hi. One more time. Okay, say bye. Tootie. So Tootie. But thank you so much for watching and have a great day.